What happens when one of country music's most decorated artists steps onto the stage of a prestigious late-night show, fully prepared for the usual playful banter, only to be met with a carefully veiled insult disguised as comedy? Carrie Underwood, a woman who has spent nearly 20 years navigating the minefield of fame, media scrutiny, and industry politics, didn't raise her voice or force an uncomfortable laugh. Instead, with the precision of a master tactician and the quiet confidence of someone who has heard every variation of this backhanded compliment before, she completely dismantled Stephen Colbert's premise in a way that left the live audience stunned and social media platforms erupting within minutes. How did a single, seemingly innocuous word, safe, become the catalyst for a cultural reckoning about the subtle sexism embedded in entertainment journalism and beyond? This wasn't just another celebrity interview gone viral. It was a watershed moment that exposed the double standards women face when they dare to be consistently excellent, a masterclass in maintaining dignity under pressure, and a stunning demonstration of what happens when someone refuses to play along with the narrative being written for them. And by the time the studio lights dimmed, the conversation had already shifted in ways nobody, least of all Colbert, could have anticipated. The segment began with all the familiar trappings of late-night television, the bright studio lights, the expectant audience murmurs, the host's practiced grin as he prepared to engage with his famous guest. Stephen Colbert, clutching his trademark coffee mug like a prop in this carefully choreographed performance, opened with what appeared to be a lighthearted introduction, America's sweetheart, the voice that could scare a grown man into therapy. The audience responded with the obligatory chuckle, conditioned by years of talk show dynamics to laugh at the host's quips, regardless of their actual humor. Carrie Underwood, dressed in an elegant black jumpsuit that somehow managed to be both understated and commanding, took her seat with the ease of someone who has navigated hundreds of these interviews while maintaining her authentic self. Her posture was relaxed yet poised, her smile genuine but measured, the very picture of a woman completely comfortable in her own skin and career. Then Colbert, perhaps emboldened by years of unchallenged authority as a late-night host, decided to venture into dangerous territory. "You've had an incredible run," he began, his tone dripping with faux admiration. "Grammys, platinum records, sold-out tours, but let's talk real for a second. Country music's evolving. You ever feel like maybe you're playing it a little safe these days?" The atmosphere in the studio changed instantly. The audience's laughter died abruptly, replaced by an almost palpable tension. On its face, it was presented as an innocuous question, the kind designed to spark interesting conversation. But the subtext was glaringly obvious to anyone who has ever been on the receiving end of such coded language. Aren't you getting boring? Isn't it time you changed who you are to stay relevant? The implication that Carrie, one of the most successful and enduring artists in modern country music, was somehow lacking because she hadn't fundamentally altered her artistic identity to chase trends hung thick in the air like a fog. Carrie's reaction was nothing short of masterful. She didn't flinch, didn't nervously laugh it off, didn't offer one of those canned celebrity responses designed to smooth things over. Instead, she took a deliberate moment, just long enough to make the silence noticeable, before leaning forward slightly, her hands resting calmly in her lap, her gaze steady and unflinching. "It's funny how the word safe gets used when women—" "Stay consistent," she began, her voice even but carrying an undeniable weight. "When a man finds his sound and builds a legacy, it's called classic. When a woman does it, it's called playing it safe." The audience response was immediate and electric, not the polite applause of people following social cues, but a genuine, roaring approval that seemed to surprise even Colbert himself. His smile froze in place, his eyes blinking rapidly as he processed that his attempt at playful criticism had been turned into a mirror held up to the industry's double standards. Backstage, the atmosphere turned palpably tense almost immediately after the segment ended. Multiple sources later reported that Colbert was visibly rattled, pacing the green room while muttering about the joke not landing right, his usual cocky demeanor noticeably shaken. Meanwhile, Carrie conducted herself with the same quiet professionalism that had defined her entire career, thanking the crew, exchanging pleasantries, and exiting the building with the air of someone who had simply done what needed to be done. But while the studio might have returned to business as usual, the digital world was exploding. A shaky audience recording of the exchange hit social media within minutes, and the response was seismic. The clip spread like wildfire across every platform, with viewers dissecting every frame. Carrie's unbroken eye contact, Colbert's micro-expressions of surprise, the exact moment the audience realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. What made this exchange transcend typical celebrity gossip was how perfectly it encapsulated experiences nearly every woman has faced in professional settings. The internet quickly became flooded with side-by-side comparisons, showing male artists being praised for their timeless sounds and consistent artistry, while female artists faced constant pressure to reinvent themselves. Psychologists and communication experts weighed in, analyzing how Carrie's response exemplified perfect assertive communication, firm but not aggressive, clear but not confrontational. Professors began using the clip in gender studies and media courses as a textbook example of how to dismantle biased framing. Meanwhile, working women across industries shared their own Carrie moments, times when their competence was questioned for staying the course while male colleagues were celebrated for the exact same behavior. Perhaps most striking was what Carrie didn't do in the aftermath. While the internet burned with hot takes and Colbert scrambled to contain the fallout, Carrie maintained a dignified silence. No tweets capitalizing on the moment, no interviews dissecting what happened, no social media posts milking the viral attention. Her only reference came at her next concert, where she simply told the crowd, "Sometimes staying true to yourself is the loudest answer you can give," to thunderous applause. This restraint only amplified the power of her original statement, proving she didn't need to keep talking to make her point. Meanwhile, the consequences for Colbert became increasingly apparent: slipping ratings, cancelled guest appearances, and a noticeable change in his interviewing style that suggested a network-mandated course correction. This incident raises profound questions about power dynamics in media and beyond. Why is consistency in women so often framed as a weakness rather than strength? Why must women constantly prove their relevance while men are allowed to simply be? And most importantly, what does it say about our culture that it took a viral moment for so many people to recognize these double standards? The truth is, Carrie Underwood didn't just deliver a great clapback. She held up a mirror to an entire system of unexamined biases, and the reflection has left us all with some uncomfortable truths to confront. When did you have your Carrie moment? We've all faced those moments where our competence was questioned, not because of our actual performance, but because of someone else's narrow expectations. Maybe it was in a meeting where your ideas were dismissed until a male colleague said the same thing. Perhaps it was during a performance review where your consistency was framed as lacking ambition. Whatever your story, share it in the comments below, because the more we recognize these patterns, the harder they become to ignore. And if you want more analysis of power dynamics in media and how to navigate them, be sure to subscribe. We're just getting started.